We are at the National Quartet Convention. Sitting next to me is an old friend, and I don't mean old in that sense. You know what I mean. This is Royce Taylor, and Royce, welcome to Gospel Music Today.
Ken, thank you. Again, it is always a pleasure for me to sit here in this chair and share a few minutes with you. It is really probably the highlight of my convention stay. Most people say, do you have a booth? I said, no, I'm just here shaking babies and kissing hands, just kind of mixing around and getting to know people, because most of the time here at convention is the only chance I have to see a lot of my friends, and so I try and take as much advantage of that as possible.
Like a family reunion.
Family reunion, absolutely, and I get to see some of the guys I used to sing with, too.
You're singing now with one of the really well-known classic names,
Yes.
the Imperials.
I've been blessed to be invited by Joe Muscayo and Terry Blackwood and Sherman Andrus to sing tenor for the Elvis Imperials. There is that distinction now. There was some confusion about the Imperials name, and there's a whole trademark issue, which I don't know why I keep getting involved with groups that have trademark issues, but nonetheless, this was kind of an offshoot. This group is primarily doing Elvis-related dates. We work with a lot of tribute artists, and a lot of it is international. I've been to Germany. We're going to Vienna, Austria, and back to the Netherlands here in a few weeks. I've been to Canada twice. We were just in Calgary, Alberta last week with a fellow who calls himself Reverend Elvis. He's a preacher, but he also does Elvis tribute stuff. So it's been an interesting ride to do that. Having been introduced to the Elvis music by being a member of the Stamps Quartet a few years ago, so it was sort of a nice little fit, really, to come in. The learning curve was at least pretty low.
Well, and there's a gospel music tradition there. We sometimes, especially when we were in Rhode Island, we would have to try to explain to people what Southern gospel music is, and we would run through the Gaither explanation, and if that didn't click, we would go back to, well, do you know the Elvis gospel albums? And of course, the Southern gospel heroes were his heroes.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Elvis was very much connected with the Blackwood brothers. Coming to Memphis as a young boy, he would go to the Ellis Auditorium, where the Blackwoods and the Statesmen and other groups of the day would hold regular concerts. And J.D. Sumner often told stories about a young Elvis Presley hanging around and said, why don't you come in, son? He said, I don't have money for a ticket. He said, you don't need money for a ticket. You come in with me. And that, of course, endeared Elvis very much to the Blackwoods. And of course, Cecil Blackwood and Jim Hamill also went to church with him. And I guess they had done some work together as a young group before he went into rock and roll. Gospel music was always Elvis's heart, and everybody that I have associated with over these years will say that very distinctly, that when Elvis was not doing his show and he was not rehearsing new music for the show, something that caught his ear, when he gathered around that piano, he wanted to sing gospel music.
I know from personal experience we can connect with Royce Taylor on Facebook.
Yes.
And is there a Royce Taylor website?
There is. My website is lynnroycetaylor.com, and my Facebook is Facebook/Lynn Royce Taylor. But please don't tell anybody my first name is Lynn. I really want to hide that if at all possible.
Okay, we'll try to keep it quiet. Royce, it is always great to see you, and thank you very much for talking to us on Gospel Music Today.
It is a pleasure to be here, and it always is. I appreciate what you do for the industry. I appreciate the way you cover it all, and you share so many great artists with friends and family out there, and I feel very privileged to be counted among those. Thank you.
Good to have you as a friend.